Well, hello there, and welcome to the Catholic Underground, your weekly Catholic guide to the digital continent. It's episode number 182. I'm Father Chris Decker, priest of the Diocese of Baton Rouge. We've been here all night. You're just getting here, but it's okay. It's all right. We're excited, and we've got a big show for you. Joshua LeBlanc from the Diocese of Lafayette in Abbeville, Louisiana is here. Hello, Joshua.
Hello.
And we got Father Ryan from Canton, Louisiana, the Diocese of Alexandria. Hello, Father Ryan.
Hello.
And we got it right. Maybe it was all in the cards, as it were. This is the second time we restarted the show, but it's all smoke and mirrors. You haven't seen anything, you see. Well, speaking of things that aren't smoke and mirrors, the new translation is upon us. The only smoke that you probably will have seen is the incense that is used. And I have to say, I'm excited about it. I really like it. Really, really like it. It's been a little bit of a stick shift driving experience, though, I have to say. You know, it's not an automatic. you got to grind the gears till you get it. Father, have you had a good experience thus far with the revised translation of the Roman Missal?
I have three completely different communities, you know, not just three mass times, but three churches and three different civil communities. And each of them was very, very different. You know, one of them we had a lot of errors. I went up and said, okay, in 35 seconds, start the Mass. And the first words out of my mouth are going to be, full of my spirit, that I'm going to look at you and I'm going to say, and I said, you say it back with me and with your spirit. And every soul in the church said it wrong, not 4 seconds after I introduced it. But we took it all with a sense of humor and got better. And all of my churches now have had it once, and I think we're okay. Even my people who are a little closer to dementia and struggling to remember their own name are now starting to get an idea of it. And of course, daily Mass is super helpful, although it's taking an extra 5 minutes to get through.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that, but it's definitely going better than I could have.
Yeah, I'm finding that daily Mass is actually more difficult than Sunday Mass.
It is.
Because you've got complete and utter control of the Missal. Golly, I need to jack into the matrix a little bit more because the coding still isn't working. I'm finding that one of the things that's happening is, since I've got complete control of the Missal, is on a daily Mass I'm flipping more and more through it. Whereas on Sunday, I don't know what the deal is. I haven't figured it out yet, but I have to turn pages less. I know exactly where I'm going. But weekday Masses, it's like you got a little bit more time to experiment, if you will. I don't know. I'm not.
Well,
really
and we've
sure
had a couple of saints already, you know, some feast days, and when I was in seminary, we had a priest who used to say a 4-ribbon day.
That's right.
And it definitely is more. I've actually made myself some altar cards for my daily Mass chapel. And just a piece of paper I've cut in half, and so I have the little helpful stuff in front of me, especially the offertory, which most priests had memorized, and now I'm having to go back and go, oh, look at that, and some things are the same and some are different. Of course, the prayer for washing of the fingers is different.
Yeah.
So at least I'm not anywhere near the Missal when that happens.
I have to contort my body to look back at the Missal, because as good as servers are, they won't necessarily think, oh, maybe I should go to the other side since Father's got the Missal on that side. Just kind of pre-programmed. But it's all right. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, you know what's interesting, too, is we've, in my parish, we started using Ad Orientem worship for all the Masses. And there are a couple of those things where you want to be able to look down and see the Missal, especially the newly revamped showing of the host. Or when the priest says, behold the Lamb of God, behold him. I had to do that straight from memory, and I was like, I should have turned around here. Okay, good.
Yeah.
And then I was trying to lead the people, and the Lord, I am not worthy. And I went, oh, I don't remember exactly the wording of that middle chunk there. And so it was a little awkward first Sunday when I was going, oh, dear God, I don't know what to say here.
Yeah, I'm having a little trouble with some of the private prayers of the priests. Now, for those of you who are joining, who may just kind of be Joe and Jane Catholic, who don't know everything that goes on behind the scenes as your Mass is taking place, there are private prayers so that the priest can prepare himself throughout the liturgy for what's about to take place. And the one thing that I haven't memorized yet, and of course I'm nowhere near a Missal, is the prayer before the Gospel.
Yeah.
that we say.
Yeah.
But it used to be upon my lips and my heart that I'm worthy to proclaim your gospel. Now it's a little bit different, and it never fails. I get to the center of the altar and I'm bowing and I'm going, oh,
Oh, goodness.
yeah, I don't know that.
Well, you know what I'm doing? I'm using the prayer from the old Mass, because the prayer from the new Mass is the shortened form of it.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of cheating. Well, I'm saying stuff before and after, but I'm still saying the prayer I'm supposed to be saying.
Well, I mean, you're saying that, yeah.
I'm saying the germ of it, but it's it is hard. It's very difficult because there's so much stuff that you just, in seminary, you've got to memorize, and you do memorize it, and then you have these changes, and you go, oh, goodness. And I can't imagine what's going to happen when we finally get to the updated translations of the sacraments.
Yeah.
And we've got to relearn confession and relearn anointing of the sick.
And the situation that we've got now is, I don't know if it's happened at your parish, but people are saying, and also with your spirit.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that doesn't get the the force of use. And also with your spirit in the United States only.
Yeah. Well, and from the other side of the sanctuary, I mean, it's been really good. I mean, in our parish, actually, Father would same thing as Father Wright. He would say, "Okay, this is going to be your response." And the first thing he said, everybody says, "And also with you." So he said, "Okay, let's try this again." And he did this multiple times during Mass.
Right.
And I forced myself. I forced myself to pay attention the whole way through, except at the end, here comes, prayer after communion, or was formerly called the prayer after communion. Now it's the post-communion collect. And Father says, "You all did a great job, blah, blah, blah." And then he goes, "The Lord be with you." What do I respond? "And also with you." God!
I tried so hard.
You love me.
And then, of course, the other thing I'm having trouble with is the final blessing or the final exhortation, because they're all fairly new. And so I said, well, I'll just start it, and by the time that I finish it, I'll be on the right page, because I know that go is the first word. And so I say, "Go," and announce the good news of the gospel. And the people are like, "Whoo, oh no." Go. Get out.
Well, they might think you were introducing that gospel hymn, "Go, go, go."
That's right. That's right. Our closing hymn will be. And in fact, it's funny. My Bishop Munch, likes to tell an anecdote about Bishop Darcy of Fort Wayne, South Bend. And the joke was he had a mic that wasn't working. And so he leans to the MC, and after he begins Mass, so he begins Mass in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and he realizes that there's something wrong with the microphone. And he turns to the MC, he goes, "There's something wrong with this microphone." And the people go, "And also with you." That joke won't work anymore.
No.
Yeah. Or if it does work, it's on a much deeper level. There's something wrong with this microphone, and with your spirit. Yeah.
Well, you see, I've been deeply embracing the simplest possible option for everything. So, like for the new Mass, it is "Go in peace," and there's none of this, the peace, the grace of our Lord Jesus. All this, it's just "The Lord be with you," beginning, and "Go in peace" end. And we'll grow into the rest of the.
Yeah, I opted to start with the confusing stuff.
Now, just out of curiosity, what happened with the second form of the penitential rite, if you recall, that most parishes don't use? With regards to, it's lost my mind. One of you.
Right. Show us your mercy and love, and grant us your salvation. That one.
Yeah. Is that still around?
Yeah.
It's still there. It's an option. I think people are kind of reticent to use it because it's kind of an extra thing that we will now have to really teach from ground zero, because for whatever reason it was never used. It was never used.
Yeah, I never understood that, because
it's one of the most beautiful. Yeah, I didn't know it until college seminary, until we got to the Abbey.
It was, "Lord, show us your mercy and love, and grant us your salvation."
That's right, Lord. Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, and it is quite confusing. It's "Have mercy on us, O Lord, for we have sinned against you." And then it "Show us, O Lord, your mercy, and grant us your salvation."
That's right.
The old form is simpler. And of course, historically, that just was made up out of thin air. There's no historical reference for it in any way, shape, or form. It was just invented in 1969 out of thin air. Well, so I think that that you'd have to have a reason to go for it.
Yeah.
You know, talking about obscure things, we had our parish to celebrate the 100th anniversary. I think I talked about last week, and the bishop was there. And of course, one of the obscure things is at the end of the mass when the bishop is going to give the blessing. He says, you know, "Blessed be the name of the Lord," and everybody responds, "Now and forever." And I was amazed. I was like, "Oh, somebody actually knows this."
Yeah, because it rarely happens. I mean, that you have a bishop visiting your parish, one, and two, that he would give the apostolic blessing. I don't know about you, but do your bishops give the apostolic blessing? Obviously, they don't do it regularly because you're generally not supposed to. But I find that even in occasions that would seemingly be appropriate for it, it just doesn't happen. Is it because you think it's because they don't know it? Well, not that the bishops don't know it, but they say, oh, the people aren't going to know it, so...
I think it depends heavily. There's certainly an ideological thing where certain bishops feel like they don't want to use the special blessing, and so there are some parishes that may have had a bishop who had ideological opposition to it. But also it's just with the translation, it was very difficult to teach anything liturgically. Yeah, because you needed a reason to go in and give a sermon about the liturgy.
Yeah. And that's one of the things too is it's really hard to figure out when to do that, especially when you know the only time you've got these folks are for the hour that they're there. You know, there's a core group of people that are willing to come to classes and things like that, but for the majority, I'm here, Father. It's Saturday night or it's Sunday, and I'm here. So hit me with your best shot now. I'll see you next week. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, it's a tough thing. I also think it's really interesting. I had to I didn't chide my parishioners, but this was at daily mass on Monday, because they got to the point where they were so kind of Twitter-pated over the fact that they didn't get it right the first time around for the "and with your spirit," and so they didn't say anything at the gospel. I said, "The Lord be with you," and they went,
We're done with you.
That's right, exactly. So before the homily, I said, "Okay, now I just have to call this like I see it. There's something bad that's starting to happen. It's because you're not courageous enough to say, I might get it wrong. You just got to launch out with it. If you get it right, good. If you get it wrong, but you have to say something. Something."
You know, people kept saying that the first weekend was going to be the worst, and lo and behold, I am prophesying. This was not the worst we're going to see. I cannot wait till midnight mass at Christmas when you get the Christmas and Easter
that's
folks.
Right. Yeah.
Who have not been at everybody else's, and with your spirit, and they're like, huh?
That's right. They'll be easy to pick out. So those are the ones that the ushers are going to hold the collection basket over longer.
Right. Give them the evil eye, Jimmy. Give them the evil eye.
Herman, you know what to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't move that basket until I get a 20 out of it.
Yeah. Rick G in New York says, the thing I'm not used to is no Christ has died, Christ has risen, Christ will come again. That's right. That's a little different. That has dropped out of usage. And,
Deo gratias.
Yeah. I'm using for Advent, Save Us, Savior of the World.
That's too.
I really like that.
That's grown on me. I didn't like it when I first heard it.
But more and more, I'm really enjoying the kind of the repetition of that.
Yeah, you just have to be careful and not say "shave us."
Oh,
well, that'd be nice too.
Shave us, Savior. Well, and that's the thing. I was saying after Mass today, because it was one of those. It was the Feast of Andrew, the Apostle, and because of that, of course, there's a lot more that takes place. Actually, this would be the first time the Gloria has been said, and
that went over like a lead balloon.
And it occurred to me. I said, this is like going to Walmart the back way. When you go to Walmart the back way, there are speed bumps in the parking lot, so you don't speed through to get to the access road. You see, and I think linguistically that's exactly what's happening because the words are translated so closely to the Latin. It's a more formal language. It's a more formal address to God. And so there are comma splices everywhere, but basically what that does is it creates a speed bump effect where the priest has to really pay attention to every word that he's saying. And so what's happening as a result is I'm actually praying the words as I'm trying to concentrate on them instead of just going on autopilot. And of course, I don't know about you, Father, but I've been fighting the autopilot pretty hard.
Yeah, well, especially Andrew the Apostle kept saying Apostle Andrew. And, the way that human brains work, you look at the first couple letters, the last couple letters, and your brain handles the in-betweens. And I had to stop and go, Andrew Possum. I actually said it 3 times, and everybody just kept looking at me. And that's again why we celebrate Mass ad Orientem here.
I did the final solemn blessing.
Don't worry about it. But it was a little confusing. But it's definitely it's very hard to fight the autopilot on a lot of these things.
Yeah.
And and it is much more ritual. And you have to. One of the things I found is difficult is developing my own cadence. I grew up listening to a priest say Eucharistic prayer 1 way and Eucharistic prayer 2 this way.
Right.
And now I'm having to say this, and I'm having to kind of invent my own cadence, emphasizing the word that, well, what makes sense. It's kind of an interpretation, at least for a couple of weeks.
It's kind of like myself for I mean, I'm not saying Mass, but for Lent and Advent every year, I always switch to the Latin for the Liturgy of the Hours. And so I'm sitting here this morning praying the Liturgy of the Hours, and I'm so used to the common text that I know by heart. And when you get to some of these Psalms, you're like, I'm forcing myself. I'm like, I looked this morning, I was like, it took me 45 minutes to say morning prayer, but it normally takes me like 15 in English.
Right.
It was something. I did the solemn blessing because I happened to glance down below the collect and it said, "Oh, you may want to use the solemn blessing for the apostles today." And I said, "That's a really good idea. Why don't I do that?" And so I'm speed bumping my way through it, paying very extra care to the subordinate clauses and everything. And then it says the Holy Apostle in, and I went, whose feast day is it today? And so I was like, I was in the Orans position, all ready to go, and I was like, the Holy Apostle, not Peter, not Andrew. I was like, oh,
James, John, Thomas,
yeah. Luckily, the Lord, I think, is looking down on us, smiling, perhaps with a bit more of a smirk than usual.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think. And I'm putting words in the Lord's mouth, but I think that He's pleased with what the church is doing. I think so, because it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Yep, about 30 years too late, but...
Yeah, but it's here.
And it's the kind of thing that in 30 years we're going to say such a good decision, and it was frustrating when it happened, but...
And it will take, I think, that long for these things to really start to take effect. Because it's as much a symbol as it is the individual words that are being changed, is this notion of a more ritual text.
Right.
Just as other liturgical things like limiting distribution to one species of the Eucharist, or limiting the sanctuary to altar boys, or ad orientem worship, or sacred music that is truly sacred and not just hymns, and all those things. As much as they have their own particular value, their symbolic value will have a long-term effect. That we can begin to understand.
And so we move from the sacred to the secular. You know what we're talking about. It's Black Friday and CyberMonday. And of course, there were deals to be had, But, of course, my homily this past weekend had a lot to do with that. I said, it's interesting that as we look at the secular world and we're getting ready to watch for the sales and to wait in line and to run towards things, the church is, through the liturgy, reminding us that there's a different type of watching, waiting, and running. And it's, of course, all in that opening collect of the first Sunday of Advent. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. And it's difficult. We can get caught in that trap of just kind of going the way of the society. But how beautiful it is, the liturgy is kind of snapping us back to reality. I just thought that was a really cool thing. Father, did you do any shopping?
No, actually, I didn't do a single piece. I've bought most of the Christmas presents I need in the last 3 or 4 months for my family and friends,
and so I just didn't have any need to pick anything up. I looked at the deals, but I was baptizing my nephew on Friday morning, and so there was no way to get out and do any shopping.
And you were so close to an outlet mall.
Yeah, I was, but
it's not worth it.
Time. It was family time, and my dad burnt one of the houses down trying to fry the turkey.
Wow.
And the story was funny. Josh knows my dad's redneck. He decided it was time to remove the safety features from the turkey frying setup at my brother-in-law.
And your dad is in safety for a living.
Yeah, my dad does that professionally. So he and another guy named Gumpy began to take apart the safety mechanism of this thing, and then a solder iron got involved, and then
Never
zip
good.
ties. Finally, duct tape was engaged, and and we did manage to fry a bird, but it was
Wow.
an interesting experience all the same.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, thank you. Well, in the
no
midst
Black Friday.
in the midst of all the Black Friday, Cyber Monday stuff, the shopping season of Christmas, as it is, there's also a surprising thing that has come out in all of this, because it's usually the day that retailers try to track all of the sales and the specific types of things that are trending. TVs are down.
Yeah, significantly.
What do you, Joshua? What do you think's behind that? Because I mean, you're a TV user.
Yeah, mostly.
Mostly, yeah. For those of you watching the video feed, you'll see that that we're giving you a link there, and cucast.me/VX1 capital M1 capital C for those of you listening. And if you go to that, you can actually go to the story that we're talking about. It's a new feature we're trying out, so that you can actually have something to read along with and comment in the chat room. I find this very interesting because I'm wondering if it has something to do with the fact that people are now taking their media on their computer.
That's a good question. I mean, I would have never, ever in 100 years guessed that, especially with this holiday season, all the prices that have been so great. I mean, people were standing. I was watching a video this afternoon of a woman who was standing in front of a Best Buy, basically Thanksgiving morning, because a 40-inch TV was $200.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess, that could be one of the things, especially with Kindle Fire, iPads, iPhones, all of those things,
right.
Android tablets in the palm of your hand. A lot of people might be switching away from large screen televisions to smaller devices. I personally, I don't think I could go that route. I know I'm still upgrading the TVs in my home. I love my 24-inch monitor connected to my computer here.
Yeah.
But, I don't watch a whole lot of video on my PC. In fact, whenever I go home, my PC is pretty much shut down, but I do have the Mac Mini connected to the television. So I guess that kind of,
You can web browse or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Father, do you have a theory?
No, the data we have comes from ratings producers, and they're saying it's the first time since 1975 that there's been a decrease, or there's been a lack of increase, we should say, in TVs. Now, this is not cable purchasing. This isn't just people who are choosing not to buy cable, but they're going to get their stuff from Hulu or they're going to get their stuff from somewhere else. But this is people who don't want televisions in their home.
Yeah.
And, I don't have a theory for it. I know that tablets and I know that computers are having an effect. I know that at Thanksgiving, many members of my family wandered around passing iPhones hand to hand watching YouTube videos, which is just not something I experience. I don't have a TV. I watch on my computer, but I'm wondering if there are more and more people like you and I, Father Chris, who, we're in college and we just used a computer and got out of college and
right, and so it's just not part of your
not part of
your
the
world.
Well,
yeah.
Now, I also wonder if it's because a lot of people my age and your age and Josh's age are getting married later, and so that may be skewing the statistical data.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Now that it's coming to my mind, I think it could be part of the, just the ebb and flow of how things happen. We see this with technology all the time. We've got things, again, like the Kindle Fire, the iPad, so people are like, oh, wow, why do I need a big, giant TV in my living room? I can watch everything on this little device in my hands. Then in 5 years, people are going to be like, man, why am I watching on a small little screen? Look, they make giant TVs.
I can have one of those.
Yeah, I can watch this and not have to squint my eyes. This is great. A big giant TV, 60 inches in my living room. In 5 years, watch if the trend doesn't completely turn itself around.
It's very true. Yeah, it's kind of like we were talking about a couple of episodes ago with print media. You mean I can actually take this stuff on my iPad magazine and print it out, and it's on paper? That's awesome. Yeah.
And you don't have to recharge paper. It just shows up all the time.
And, of course, in the chat room, there are a couple of folks saying that perhaps folks are just realizing that there isn't much to watch on TV, KJH1 says. And Caroline's desk says, and the price of cable is going up.
Yeah.
That's also part of it, too. And if actually, if you get cable internet with a lot of these companies, they also either have apps for you to watch the television on your iPad, things of that nature, or they have some of the on-demand services, so you don't have to watch things live and in person. And then, of course, you've got things like web television programs like Catholic Underground.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, I mean, but me, I always want a big screen because I'll watch video podcasts on my Apple TV. You know, there's something about having a big screen type of deal. It's interesting. I wonder what's behind that. But as you say, Josh, things trend. They go up, they go down, they go in, they go out.
Well, you know, exactly. Like last week, Father Ryan talked about when we reach a certain bandwidth limit, you know, certain or cap, certain things are going to open up. And with regards to things like this, I mean, you talk about cable. The only reason people keep cable, I think, at this point is because there's no really such thing as unlimited bandwidth in the home.
Right.
If there really was unlimited bandwidth and you could get, for example, Fox News and all of these channels on a Roku box, why do you need cable?
That's true.
You know, it's the same thing as why I keep satellite radio in my car. I mean, I have Spotify. Don't get me wrong, but guess what? My AT&T data plan isn't unlimited.
Right.
If it was, I would cancel my satellite radio in a heartbeat tomorrow because I have Spotify. But it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. And so,
and you know, there's another concern about this that actually is a big deal for me, and we're already seeing kind of with print media. You reach a certain threshold, you know, a certain ratio, and it no longer becomes profitable for people to produce quality television shows. We're already seeing that with more and more networks looking to produce quote-unquote unscripted, read garbage programming because it's too expensive to make the CSIs or the the shows that the big expensive lost, you know, shows that cost to make. And so people are trying to save money that they're not making because of cable and stuff like that. They're trying to save money and by producing unscripted stuff. As we lose more and more readings on pay television in the old finance models, it becomes more and more difficult for companies to produce quality. And, you know, like it or not, somebody like NBC can afford to pay $30 million or $60 million for this or that show to be produced.
yeah.
Whereas if we do get to the kind of a la carte notion of I'll take the golf channel and I'll take this news channel and I'll take that channel over there, I'll take everything on this area, etc. You know, you get into a notion of it becomes harder and harder for those people to monetize.
Yeah.
Because the way they make money is by tiering things. If you want Oprah, you've got to have 40 other channels with her.
Right.
And you've got to pay the licensing fees for all of them. As that financial model breaks down, we find ourselves in the same boat that print and audio is quickly getting to as well.
Yeah.
Where you can't spend the same amount of money on spec. And so you have a show that gets 4 or 5 episodes, and if it's not making money, like Pan Am now is on the edge for exactly that reason. You know, you get 5 episodes, but if you can't make money after 5 episodes, you're gone.
Right.
You know, and a certain sadness because in the 80s, there were so many great shows that didn't, quote, find their instrument until the 2nd or 3rd season.
Yeah.
You know, and nowadays there are so many really good shows that are being dumped halfway through season 1 because the financial model is changing. And so that's going to be a big concern as we move forward with this kind of web video kind of revolution.
Yeah, Father, imagine if Star Trek The Next Generation was treated today like it wasn't then, right? Star Trek didn't get good until season 4. You know?
Yeah. None of them did, actually.
Well, that's very true, actually. But it does. It takes a while to kind of find your groove, and a lot of shows don't even get out of the gate. They're taken to the back room of the vet well before they should be. You know.
Yeah.
Do you?
They're quote put to pasture.
That's right. Do you think it's possible that people are getting the TVs out of their house because they want silence?
No.
The Pope may think so. World Communications Day has published its theme, and interestingly enough, it was prophesied by Catholicon 2012. It's on silence. The Holy Father is prolific. Did I say 2013?
You did.
Why did I say that?
2011.
Well, that would be a prophecy, wouldn't it? It will have been prophesied at Catholicon 2011. Silence. The Holy Father is a prolific writer. And the World Communications Day theme for this coming year is very much on the concept of silence and how important it is. And Father, this was actually based on it wasn't based on, but it could have been. You gave this homily before the document came out.
Yeah, and I'm not going to take any credit for it at all, because it certainly was something that Pope Benedict discussed in a number of his writings. But it occurred to me when I was offering the TLM, I had another sermon set up, and I got there and I just kind of looked out and asked people, why in the name of God Almighty are we at a communications conference and I'm saying Mass in a dead language most of which you can't hear? And it just kind of turned into a sermon that followed a lot of Pope Benedict's understanding of liturgy. And ultimately the question boils down to, who does the communicating? Is it us or is it God? Is it God who gives power to words, or is it we who sell God? Are we in sales? And it just occurred to me the answer is no. God is the one who does the talking through us. God is the one who says what needs to be said. Mm-hmm. And so if we were listening more, we'd almost certainly be receiving more from our communication. And I think it's exactly what Pope Benedict just in the quote-unquote teaser that he published a while back, and very, very eagerly awaited the official letter of Pope Benedict for World Communication Day, which will take place in May, I believe. That's correct. It's always in May, usually on the feast of St. Francis de Sales, I believe. Right. Who's the patron of journalists and shopkeepers. No, that's not true. Different sales. Yeah. And I think that is something that really involves discernment from the case of the mainstream media and even us. Is there times when we shouldn't be speaking? There are times when you have to open things up to the silence and allowing God to speak there. And there are times where you just have to turn the media off. In fact, I know during Lent, a lot of people will give up their Facebook accounts or texting or things like that. The Holy Father could very well be saying it's time, especially into the society in which we are really hurtling ourselves toward, that we've got to begin to take stock of this. Otherwise, it's going to overtake us. I mean, right now, just think about how many times, just in my own life, that I go to a restaurant and I'm unplugged from conversation because I'm feeling the mail app vibrate in my pocket. And I've got to go, oh, well, I've got to check my mail and see what's going on there. Uh-huh. And because I'm not willing to be in the silence that involves listening to the other person or even listening to God, I have to leave my iPhone out of the chapel. Sometimes it'll be in my pocket and I'll go into my private chapel. And if I'm trying to say morning or evening prayer and my phone's buzzing, it's crazy. Yeah. The temptation's too easy. Yeah. Which is why, we talked about at Catholicon, the idea of using iPads or iPhones only for, saying Liturgy of the Hours or even use during Mass. And that's a perfect example of it can be a distraction. Right. But it's a good thing, but it's got to be used with a great deal of discernment. And, of course, discernment takes silence 9 times out of 10. Yeah. So we're looking forward to what comes after the teaser, for that. Also, let's see. I don't have remember whenever I had to restart the show? Remember when that happened? Yeah, that happened. We fixed it in post. That's right. I don't yet have the little graphic up here, so I'll try as we're talking to do it if you're watching us on the feed. But Mark Twain, Samuel Clemens, his birthday observed on Earth today. And maybe on Mars as well. Maybe also on Mars, because if you've ever read some of his writing or saw that really good episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation with Madame Guinan, he actually could have been a space traveler. We don't know. But I think that talk about a prolific writer. Yeah. And prophetic too. Astoundingly prophetic, and somebody who Joseph Pierce has argued was actually in the process of becoming Catholic at his death. Really? Yeah, at least that's what Pierce argued. A lot of people were becoming Catholic at their death. Yeah. But I mean, just about all of us probably remember reading at some point or another a Mark Twain story in school. Oh, and of course. I always enjoyed him because he's a saucy writer. He's very sassy. Uh-huh. He doesn't really mince words. He's kind of your quintessential Southern gentleman writer. And I always enjoyed it. Huck Finn was a really good story. I especially like when he fell through the roof of the church. I really liked that part. I don't know why. Maybe it had something to do with my vocation. I'm not sure. Falling through the roof of a church is just, I think Jung did that too, but in a different way. That's right. That's quite possible. And of course, Google. It's interesting what holidays Google takes to heart and tries to showcase.
And so if you look over on Google's website, as we're showing on screen, this is they've painted a picture of little sequential art of Huck Finn painting the fence and getting somebody else to do it. It's really cool. Does it have any? Are there any clever things about it? No, it's not animated. It's just
no. It's just a.
And it just goes to searching for Mark Twain.
Yeah.
Well,
but it's very cool because Twain was really, as you said, the master storyteller. He was the one who, you have the picture in your head of the guy who sits down in the chair and begins to tell you a story about something that could be as boring as you wanted, about why toothpaste is, generally speaking, pastel colors as opposed to neon. And you'd just be enveloped in his ability to tell a story. And, he was in many ways the great-grandfather of Southern Gothic writers, which, Walker Percy, Flannery O'Connor,
right,
of those sorts who are such great authors and who embrace a genre that is so unknown and which our current culture could do so well to think about and read more. Storytelling is a big part of evangelization.
Right.
And, so Twain is somebody we can appreciate just as a master of his craft, even if we don't like his stories or his personality.
Yeah, but and that's really a gift, I think, of Southern Gothic writing, too, is that there is an authenticity to it, as well as a real deep experience of suffering, too. That's a real hallmark of Southern Gothic writing. Walker Percy, Flannery O'Connor, and, of course, Mark Twain, or Samuel Clemens, or whatever his name really is. So, hey, there you go. It could be Madame Guiden. I don't know.
Hey, you.
That's right. So he celebrates his 176th birthday, I believe. Happy death birthday, Mark Twain. So it's Advent, Christmas Lent, as we like to call it on the show, and or at least Josh and I do. Father Ryan doesn't like the phrase. He liked it at first, but now I think he's done with it. It's dead to him.
Yeah, I've spent more time studying and theologizing.
That's right, exactly. And so the National Catholic Register has, we're very thankful because the National Catholic Register always has something clever to talk about, 8 super simple ways to celebrate Advent as a family. And so we thought we'd talk a little bit about that since it is Advent. We probably should have led with this.
Yeah, would have been good.
Yeah, well, hindsight is 2020. All right. Number 1, special Sunday Advent dinners. I like this idea. Of course, in Louisiana, just about every opportunity to get together at the table is a special one,
Yeah.
But this is, from a family perspective, a really, really good idea to take the time to get together with your loved ones and to really prepare together. You can prepare the meal together and use that as an analog for the preparation of the manger scene. Now, there's an interesting homily. Or just to catch up. I mean, who catches up anymore around a dinner table? I mean,
the dinner table, it's become non-existent even in my own home. I mean, I realize it's just me and Annie, but
still, though, you get so busy doing your thing. And
well, for example, tonight she's having dinner now. I'll be having dinner, post show. I mean, usually we would have dinner before the show, but our lives were just so busy today that I had to be here early and she got off of work late, so it just didn't happen. And that's unfortunate because it happens more and more in homes these days that we put other priorities other than actual social communication, which is, one of the things I've been thinking about recently is that I'm wondering if Facebook and Twitter is not going to be the downfall and end of real friendships. Because I don't know about you guys, but I get kind of upset sometimes whenever I find out about things going on in friends' lives from Facebook.
Right. And them not calling you, and
they're not picking up the phone. They're not even sending you a text message. It's this impersonal situation. I tell sometimes I feel like if it wasn't for Facebook, I wouldn't know what my friends are doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's sad. It's really sad. And I'm starting to really wonder if that's not going to be the detriment to real human interaction.
And of course, one of the things that you can't count on anymore, Joshua, is touch activated food dispensers.
Yeah.
Joshua had a bit of an incident. You want to tell it?
Yeah, I will. If you recall, my pick of the week last week was this new Sharper Image food dispenser.
I love this. I can't believe this.
This is real. And if you also, my friend on Facebook, you see that I have had a mouse problem recently in my office. And
it's going where you think it's going, Father Ryan.
I come in one morning to my office, and there are M&Ms everywhere. And I was like, what is going on in here? And I can't figure out how these, I'm thinking to myself, I mean, I was like, Annie was here last night. Did she, throw away some M&Ms that had fallen and they just didn't make the trash can, or what's going on? And then I'm looking, and I realized that the mice figured out to crawl on my counter, go underneath the sensor, and make it drop M&Ms.
He had an Asimov laboratory in his office.
Exactly. Okay, so these things, and multiple times it went and drugged these M&Ms all over the place.
Like a Chip and Dale Disney cartoon is in my head.
Oh, absolutely.
Exactly. So I'm thinking, okay, these things love chocolate, apparently. They love sweet things. So I decided I'm going to buy a couple of mouse traps to catch these mice. I went 2 days on 2 mouse traps. On every occasion, they stole the bait and never set the trap off.
Was the bait an M&M?
So yes, the bait was an M&M. I put M&M on the mouse trap. Yes. So I come in, and I said, Annie, let me go first so I can, I don't want you to have to deal with the dead mouse, because she's, a little weird with stuff like that sometimes. So I'll go deal with the dead mouse. So she walks in and goes, nope, trap's not off. And I walked in, I was like, the damn M&M's gone. That's the first thing I said. The M&M is gone on every one of my mouse traps. I was so angry. But then my landlord calls me and said, I put some poison. I said, good, because apparently that's the only thing we'll get rid of these, because they're too intelligent to.
And they're all hopped up on the chocolate. They're invincible.
You take them in and put poison in the hop.
Yeah, because I'm trying to reload the trap, and I managed to completely set it off every time I'm trying to put the bait down on it. Yet these mice, so angry.
You were just beaten by a group of mice.
That's right.
Essentially.
So the moral of this story is to have more special Sunday Advent dinners.
And I think that's clear to everyone.
I think it's clear. Number 2, wrap.
The jazz trumpet for y'all.
That's right. Wrap favorite seasonal books.
This is one of Jennifer Fulwire's ideas, and I like it a lot. There are certain books that families want to read, that are maybe Christmassy kind of books or pre-Christmassy kind of books. Mm-hmm. And so instead of giving away presents early, you unwrap book, and then the family gets together and reads, a book like The Cage the Night Before Christmas, something like that. Mm-hmm. Interesting idea.
That is a really cool book. A really cool idea, I should say. Not one that I would think of. Number 3.
In the chat was noticing that I look a little stoic. That's because the video has been frozen for the last 10 minutes, and it caught me particularly depressed face.
You look a bit like your mirror universe self.
Yeah, I look pretty terrible, and we can't unfreeze the video without dropping it completely. So rather a bad picture of me than no picture at all, Bugsy. Sorry.
Nothing can be done. Sorry.
It's sad, but that's when you live in the middle of nowhere.
That's right. Number 3, wrap the tree in a paper chain of prayer.
It's a really neat idea.
Yeah, it is, actually. I mean, normally we think of those as the paper chains that you spend time with construction paper stapling. What if you were to put prayers on them? Because, I mean, yeah, then there'd be a reason to go up to the tree and inspect it closer, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it would be a way to slowly decorate the tree.
That's true. Now, this is probably something you'd get right on top of, Josh, huh?
Well, that's what's really cool about this. I was going to say, I saw a friend of mine really post on Facebook this week, and I was so excited about this. She posts an image to the front door of her home, and what did she do? She took garland that's purple and rose and intertwined it with one another and did her door frame in it to her house. And I was like, that is awesome.
Adventy.
Yeah, I mean, so the idea of doing things that, seem Christmassy, but yet really cause people to stop and go, oh, what's this?
Mm-hmm. These aren't Christmas colors, right?
I think really you're going to start getting people to realize that we're celebrating Advent, which is in preparation for Christmas, not Christmas that hasn't come yet.
That's right. That's a really, really cool idea. If you're watching the video chat, it's just one of those days with Father Ryan, poor thing. Are you still on audio?
I hope so.
Oh, very Okay. Number 4, act out the Christmas story with the manger set. So kind of use your manger set as you would have used your Ninja Turtles in the 80s.
Yeah, I think that's.
I think that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I beat Shredder even with April O'Neil.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And then, of course, number 5, have the Holy Family move toward the nativity set. So in the same way that it's popular to do that with the wise men, have them move, across your living room until Epiphany, move the Holy Family across your table or whatever. That's a really cool idea, too.
I think it is. I think it's a really cool idea. I'd like to see them both move. I'd like to see the Holy Family and the wise men, each coming from different sides of the house.
See, if it were me, this would be dangerous. If I were a family man. If I were in the family way, it would be dangerous because that there would be sand on the table, and they would actually make a sojourn through Egypt.
I'd elf on the shelf this. Instead of having the elf on the shelf, I'd have them sliding behind and being hidden behind camping out. Having they're hiding behind 8x10s and camping out.
That's right.
It'd be awesome.
We've got to get to Bethlehem. We've got to get to Bethlehem.
Well, I think in a hotel. Look. It's a Christmas village in a park here for the day.
Right.
I think in your case, Father, you should cover the wise men with peanut butter and name your cat Herod so it can try and kill them.
No, they'd depart by another route.
And the cat would get some kind of disease of some sort.
Or become
Botulism.
even more cute.
Well, actually, the cutest cat right now in the world is Taylor Swift's cat.
Oh,
It's considered the cutest cat on Twitter is Taylor Swift's cat.
You've made that decision, have you?
No, the web has made that decision. It's been declared. I don't know who decided this on behalf of the entire web, but just so you know.
Rick G in New York says, by the way, peanut butter is an excellent bait for mouse traps.
Thank you after the fact.
Well, Josh was using peanut butter M&M.
That's right. It's the same difference, right?
Close enough.
Same difference. And also Bug Zoo in the chat room says the Playmobil manger set is one where the idea would work without worrying about breaking the figures. Yeah. If you've got the expensive Fontanini ones, you may want to, depending on the age of your children. Yeah. Now if you've got the Roman Incorporated, or actually, I have a Precious Moments nativity set that I have from when I was an urchin.
What?
Yeah. In fact, my 7th grade teacher offered to buy it off of me.
Do you also have a bright fuzzy pink classic?
No.
Okay.
I don't. It's more of a bathrobe.
I actually did see a pink cassock one time. I was shopping for cassocks, and I came across this weird golf website.
Oh.
And there was a crushed velvet cassock, and then there was this bright pink fuzzy. Very disturbing.
What kind of a bishop are you? Oh, never mind. Yeah. Number 6, sing a special song at dinner. What would your special song be, Father?
Selena Gomez?
No, that doesn't.
No. Well, I don't know what it would be. I really don't.
Of course, there's always
no Advent songs.
There are a few. I mean, I'm thinking of isn't Lo How a Rose Are Blooming? Is that an Advent song?
It's typically more Christmassy.
Yeah, that's more Christmassy.
Come
thou,
Lord, thank. Oh, comfort, O my people.
Yeah.
Of course, come Emmanuel.
Oh, come Divine Messiah.
Oh, come Divine Messiah.
The O antiphons, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And you could almost rock some little kids, the more religious-y Christmas songs, certainly after the third Sunday of Advent.
That's the one I was thinking of. Bugsy's got it. People Look East. I love that song.
I love that song, too. Mm-hmm. And then there are 2 different melodies of On Jordan's Bank, too, and so you have that. And there's also Ophelia, although I don't imagine many children know that, that classic Gregorian hymn.
And, of course, there's always the children's special Light the Advent Candle 1.
Right.
So that's, there's always stuff to do. I wonder if the comment section underneath this blog is got some ideas there. Number 7, say a special prayer at dinner. That's a beautiful thing. In fact, there are resources on the web that have specific Advent prayers, or maybe have your kids write a prayer that they say, on behalf of the family. That's kind of a cool idea too. And really, this could be a good opportunity for the dad and the mom and the kids to take turns with their prayer writing skills. That's not something I wonder. Again, not being a family man in that way. I don't know what that looks like on a family scale. You know, do parents teach their children to pray? Do they teach them extemporaneous prayer? Do they teach them by writing? These could be some good things to work out if you're trying to also teach your kids to pray.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So DP Pearson in the chat room says Ad te lavavi is also could be a.
It is a delightful piece.
It is. It's good. And then, of course, number 8, make special Advent prayer cards. So maybe a candle on each one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or a way that you're preparing this week for the coming of Jesus. Something that's kind of a cool thing. And then, of course, we have some additions to the list because we are Catholic Underground, and that's how we roll. A family Advent wreath. Easy.
Yeah.
Easy to do. In fact, long before you could order them ready-made from the various liturgical supply shops for your house, I remember making one myself, an Advent wreath for my family. And you can buy all the stuff at your local big box store and just kind of ramshackle it together. But it works. It doesn't have to be something that looks like what you see in the church, because I guarantee you we paid a lot more than we should have for it.
Yes, we do.
Yep. And then let's see. Assign each family member 1 week of Advent. They get special prayers and attention, and it works best with a family of 4.
Obviously.
Or in 4s.
Or in 4s. Yeah, it depends on how large your family is.
Dad gets it a week. Everyone else has to share.
That's right. Advent calendars. Like, Father Ryan, would this be the one with the doors on it that each day in Advent you open the door and you have another prayer or thing to do or that sort of thing?
Yeah, you certainly have those kind of calendars, but you also have just a huge number of other kinds of Advent calendars. You can obviously make your own, where each member of the family would do something nice for someone else on that day. They're on the web or a bunch. We've been asked to participate in Advent calendars that are podcast related or media related.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to invent an Advent calendar, whether it was something arts and craftsy or whether it was something digital, or whether it was something where mom wrote something in each block on a calendar for that day.
Yeah.
There's so many different things you can do to count down and make ready for Christmas, and Advent calendars are a great way to do that.
Oh, I like this idea. Bugzoo says in the chat room, Lego has an Advent calendar with small figures to make. That is awesome.
What?
Lego.
Yeah, we're going to have to find that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do enjoy Legos. And then, of course, Josh was going to get all over this one. Slowly decorate the tree, adding a motif every week of Advent. And the same with house decorations. Because as you know, if you're a longtime listener of the show, Joshua rolls out his decorations slowly. He time releases them like a good Excedrin capsule.
Actually, I don't.
Really? What?
No.
Your tree.
No, the tree goes up Christmas Eve.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Right, so
there's no time release. It all gets done Christmas Eve.
Oh, well, apparently I'm not a long-time listener of the show. I don't know.
I think you're thinking of Pepto-Bismol.
That is and it coats the stomach. Exactly.
I can understand the color and yeah.
kind of like Josh's spaghetti. It coats the stomach in a way that it should. But that's a really kind of cool idea to slowly.
That's the way I do it. I put up a blank tree and really no decorations, and then the second Sunday you get one color, just a handful of little decorations, and then the third Sunday you kind of do a little bit more. And it all slowly kind of builds up, and you don't get the festive stuff until certainly the absolute earliest, the 7th. But you don't really get the stuff until right before Christmas.
Well, and it's kind of analogous to the way the Eastern celebrate Lent with regards to the first week giving up certain things, and then you add on as you go. So it's interesting.
And then, of course, the idea: go to Mass during Advent. Yeah, because some of the most beautiful prayers that we say. Are actually in those little seasons that have specific daily Mass prayers for everything, Advent and Lent, and I'm really digging it. Maybe it's just because of the Revised Translation, but I'm really digging some of the collects because they're so rich and really have provided a lot of food for my prayer. So, just looking at the time here, we want to be mindful of your busy schedule, and so we're going to go to the little section that we like to call our Picks of the Week. And for our first pick of the week, let's go over to Josh. Josh, what do you have for us today?
Well, my pick of the week is something I'm sure we've talked about before, Father, because you actually turned me on to this. And it's an app called Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really like Spotify. I first downloaded it for my iPhone because I actually didn't realize there was an app for the PC.
Yep.
But basically the way this service works is you could get the free version, which doesn't allow you to stream anything. Basically, you're kind of tethered to your desktop.
Mm-hmm.
But for $10 a month, $9.99, you can get a streaming version, which I really like. Allows me from my iPhone to be able to stream almost any music anywhere.
Yep.
To my device, even if I don't have it, if I've not bought it in iTunes, because every once in a while there's just a song you want to hear that you don't have,
right?
And you know that if you buy it, it sometimes maybe just seems like a waste of money. But for $10 a month, you can really stream as much as you want. You got the iPhone client, you got the desktop client. They'll sync back and forth with one another.
Mm-hmm.
What I really like too, as long as you're subscribed, if I believe you can only do it on your desktop, though. If you sync, you can download the song actually from your desktop as a local file,
mm-hmm.
and you can sync it to your iPhone so you have it to play on the road. If you don't want to use bandwidth.
Okay, yeah, no, that it works natively on the app. So, like, if you search for things on your iPhone app, it will download them. If you star it, yeah.
That's because you're paying for it. The free version doesn't do that.
Oh, I got you. Okay,
that's what it is.
I got you. Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, it's really, really nice. The only thing I wish that it had with Spotify would be the ability to AirPlay from Spotify, but you have to get Airfoil or something like that to be able to do it. But you can do it from your iPhone.
Yeah.
But so I can't do it from my desktop, which is kind of,
I think back when I had my iPhone 4. I had just gotten Spotify, and I think that AirPlay worked.
You can from your iPhone. What I'm saying is from my PC.
Oh, from your PC, there's no. Yeah, you're right.
There's no way to. That's kind of a drawback too. But it's really, I mean, for $10 a month, and I can listen to any kind of music I want at any time. It actually forces me. Well, not forces me, but allows me to listen to music that I would never buy.
Right, exactly. That's one of the things I like. Yeah, and then of course with Spotify too. You can look at other people's playlists, or they can share music with you, and so you kind of get a little bit more exposure to some of the things you ordinarily wouldn't find in your ear holes. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, well, let's see. My pick of the week is actually along the lines of a resource that I use, because I mean we're always looking for things to do when it comes to homily prep and things like that, and so I just used the royal we. I didn't mean to. And mine is Catholicism.about.com, and basically it's about.com's Catholicism page, and there's a guy that actually is the curator for this page, and it's his job to write articles about what's going on in the church year. In fact, I'll bring it up on the screen here. I'm trying to keep the link up. And you can see he's got right now, pray the St. Andrew Christmas Novena, reviving Advent, the St. Andrew Christmas Novena, and he'll talk about what's happening through the week. Novena of the week to the Virgin Immaculate, because Immaculate Conception's coming up. There are lots of really good articles, a lot of apologetics, things like that. And he's cultivated all of this at Scott Richert and the Catholicism Guide. So that's we've got it cucast.me, SX, capital G, YO, capital Z. Or you can just look in our show notes, or you can go to Catholicism.about.com. People don't usually think of about.com because it's kind of one of those quasi-spammed things. You know, why would I go to about.com? But this is a well-done thing, and they've redesigned it a little bit too. So that's my pick of the week. Father Ryan, I know you've got a pick of the week because you always do.
I do, and of course, so do you. So it's very impressive. There is oftentimes a book that becomes popular in the Christian/Catholic world. You have stuff like the Prayer of Jabez, or you have stuff like any number of little books that pop up, Tuesdays with More, that are kind of these spiritual/self-help things. And good Catholics often don't know where to trust, or what books you can trust and which ones you can't. I mean, there's a heretic out there named Charlie Curran who has a book called Catholic Morality Today, and he's teaching that it's okay to brutally murder children in the womb and other fun stuff like that. And it's very difficult sometimes to know who you can trust. And without the imprimatur, without the nihil obstat, and when it's a banned book list, it's very difficult for a Catholic to know where to reach.
Mm-hmm.
There is, though, there are, I should say, a number of really good publishing houses, and one that I always encourage people to check out is Ignatius Press.
Mm-hmm.
It's over at ignatius.com, and this is some really good Jesuits who have put together an excellent publishing house that has, thousands of spectacular books, CDs, DVDs, all kinds of really good stuff. And if you're wondering whether you want to reach out for a good Catholic book, you want to go to ignatius.com first. They have spectacular choice, and they've got really, really good fiction. They've got good nonfiction, good theology. A lot of textbooks that I read in seminary were from Ignatius.com or Ignatius Press. And they are now selling ebooks for a lot of their stuff. They're unlocked ebooks. So you buy it, and it just lets you download the file of Mobi or EPUB, and you put it on your device of choice. They're the ones who publish UCAT. They're the ones who do an awful lot of really good stuff. And I strongly encourage people who are wondering where to go for safe and good Catholic books to consider Ignatius Press. Great place to go, easy to use website, and just good people.
And they've got DVDs and CDs as well. They're the distributor of some of the better Catholic films that are out there too. And so, yeah, good. Very good.
Good stuff. Well, we'd also like to thank Audible.com for their sponsorship of the Catholic Underground. As you know, and as you've heard me say in the exact same words and with the same trendy voice, Audible is the world's leading supplier of audiobooks and spoken word digital. If you surf over to audibletrial.com/Catholic Underground, you're going to get 2 weeks to try the program out for free. The Gold Plan is going to offer you an audiobook every month. It's going to give you access to tons of free and discounted material, books, magazines, daily newspapers, read to you by voice actors. You can turn your commute, your time at the gym, or your yard work into something really meaningful. And this week I'm going to recommend a book by a Protestant author who is a German Lutheran named Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who wrote an excellent little book called God is in the Manger, Reflections on Advent and Christmas. This is in the same vein as Bishop Fulton Sheen and Pope John Paul II and Pope Benedict have written these various reflection books. Really good. It's really, really deep and profound, and it does come from a kind of German darkness, but you'll love it.
Everybody likes a little emo from time to time for Christmas. Make it a little more Lenty.
There's a little bit of a black parade circle, something going on with this, but anyway, it's an excellent book. It's called God is in the Manger, Reflections on Advent and Christmas by Dietrich Bonhoeffer. Go to audibletrial.com/underground and check it out.
Very cool. Yeah, we thank you for supporting Catholic Underground with your Audible.trial, subscriptions. I'm speaking in code now for some reason, but it really has been helpful for us, and we very much thank you for your patronage that way. We thank you for those of you who've been donating throughout the year. That's keeping us on the web and in your ears and in front of your eyes. So thank you again to all of you who have supported us throughout the year. And, of course, if you want to get links to our Twitter feed, to our Facebook page, or if you want to view all of our video, all of our podcasts, everything we've got, you need to go to CatholicUnderground.com without delay, because that is the place to do it. And so this brings us to the end of our first show within Advent, and I think that's a beautiful thing. Joshua, you've joined us from your mice-infested, maybe not so much anymore, spot. Joshua, thank you for joining us as always.
Thank you.
And Father Ryan, who actually, if you see him in the video window, looks just like a spiral galaxy. Father, thank you for joining us from wherever you are in the barred spiral galaxy.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Yeah, that's bye in his native tongue. It's also a legal brief. I don't know. Anyway, you know me. I'm Father Chris Decker. I'm a priest of the Diocese of Baton Rouge. You can follow me on Twitter at Digital Catholic. And that's what we do. We're Catholic Underground. We're Faith Gone Digital. Happy Advent. We'll see you next time.
From the Catholic Underground.
Ah!
Oh, God.